Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7, and I am back with a race from last week's Daily Race C at Trial Mountain in Group 4. And in today's video we're going to be talking about defensive driving, because this was one of the best defensive drives I think I've done in quite a long time. We had a very fast driver that we were racing against, and we managed to hold the position in a car that wasn't quite as quick on acceleration, which always makes it more difficult. However, there was some benefits to the Citroen that we'll point out during this race. So I'm starting from P2, we've got P1 there in the Supra, and we're going to have an incredible battle here that you're going to witness. Brilliant racing, great stuff, and let's see how this race pans out. So starting off in the Citroen, we know for a fact that Citroen's really good on tyre wear. Now this is one of our early races that we did with it, so our pace was not particularly amazing at this stage. By the end of the week we were managing to really start getting used to this Citroen and really realising that the Citroen was probably overall maybe a better car for the race than the Supra. It was hard to tell because at the first 4 or 5 laps the Supra was probably stronger, but then on the last 4 laps I would say the Citroen was stronger, so it was quite hard to pick which way you wanted to go. But you can see here we're following through this section where the Citroen was really nice, flowed really nice in this car, rotated really nice through this left hand corner, early upshift to 4th gear. With the way this car worked quite well in that corner, and now we're into the long straight. Now the Citroen pretty good in a slip train. We've got P1 doing a little bit of gentle weaving, maybe a bit excessive there, but it's nothing too bad. I decided to stay in a straight line because when someone does that, I just think that if you stay in a straight line you actually gain just as much as what you would if they were in not doing it and you're in the slip, because you know the movement loses your time. So we're going to skip ahead to lap 2 now, and we've got that slipstream a lot more aggressively, you can see, in this Citroen, and we're going to go into 7th gear, and that's really going to propel us forward in this Citroen. Great in a slip, and you see goes defensive, but we still go to the left, get the inside line, and now downshift to 2nd, and we're going to hold that apex and get on that throttle. We do get a little bit of a hit from behind that pushes us into the barrier, but nothing too severe. And now we're going to go into this corner side by side. We give space on the left hand side, and now we go into the braking and hold that position to get ourselves into the lead. Now we are going to have to get the defensive mode active and make sure we try and hold on to this position. So let's see what we can do. We've got enough of a gap. You can see P3 is a little bit, he's a bit behind us, and if anything, it helps me if P3 gets closer to P2. We know that the other cars behind us, there's a bit of a gap developed. You can see must have been some battling, so we can afford to go quite defensive in this race. Now into this corner, early upshift to 3rd gear, but we're going to clip that barrier, which is not what you want to do. So I'm going to have to go defensive straight away. So going down this straight, we're going to go over to the left hand side and hold the line towards the wall. We do not want to let any opportunity for any car to go down that left hand side. So once a bit of the car is alongside me, we can then push out to the outside slightly, making sure we give space on the full width of the track, and then into the really fast flowing section here, and now into this next section under the bridge. So we're going to go defensive there because we didn't get the best exit, making sure we hold the inside line, and then onto that throttle as early as we can, and we're holding on, still holding on to that P1 luckily through there. And now it's all about defending wisely, and we're going to actually slow it down and pause some moments during this race to try and show you, to try and discuss the thought process and what we're doing and why we're doing it, and just to try and give some vital tips to people about defensive driving, because we very often get asked in streams, you know, when you're under pressure and you've got a car behind you, how do you make sure you can hold that position without, you know, over driving it or over defending it? And it's pretty simple. What I always do is, if you're going to go defensive, make it clear I'm sticking to that left hand wall. I'm not going to go back over to the right until he has got some of his car alongside me. And now we can go back over, as long as we give him more than the car's width to the right hand side there. You can see we can now hold the inside line here, and you can see what we want to try and do is make sure that we don't give any space on the inside, and just make sure we can get on that throttle early enough to hold the exit speed. So it's all about tight entry there, making sure that that car cannot get on the throttle. Now we did see on another video that one driver had figured out how to go all the way around the outside there, but luckily for me in this race, P2 had not managed to figure that one out yet, and it was something that we saw someone else do, and then we managed to do it. You could actually hang the car all the way around the outside of that corner. But now you can see one benefit of the Citroen, it's really good out of that corner, which meant I didn't really have to go too defensive into this next overtaking opportunity. And this was one of the best overtaking opportunities into this chicane, but because of Citroen's strength there, meant I didn't really need to worry about that corner. As again, not the best exit from there. And let's just see, do we need to go defensive? We're probably not. And if you're wondering why there's no doubters on the screen at the moment, it's because the recording didn't save, so I've had to take all the footage from the replay footage. So we've got the camera in the top right there from Digit, and we've got myself on the main screen there. And what you can see here is now we're trying to make sure we leave space on the right hand side, but give ourselves a line into this corner. You can see that on the outside you can't really send it around the outside of this corner. It's very difficult to try and make a move on the outside of going into that turn one. And then you can see there, Digit got a massive exit from the corner, actually got too good of an exit, and actually clipped the back of my car and actually helped me slightly there. So he kind of nearly judged that perfectly, to be fair. If it would have just been a little bit further back, he would have had the run up the inside, but he was a little bit too far ahead, if anything, and actually did the corner too well. So now we're going into this section, into the right hand corner before the tunnel, and then onto that long back straight again. So again, trying to flick the car in from the right hand side down to third gear, making sure that we can get the car back over to the left hand side to go defensive without giving any sort of room up the inside. So you can see again, holding the wall, making it clear that there's no way a car's going to go down the left hand side of me. You can see he's going to bump draft now to try and then get the slipstream for the end of the straight. So it's a little bit of a tactical bump draft there, get a little bit more slipstream further on and try and get the momentum into into this braking zone here where the signpost is. And again, you can see what we're going to try and do now is brake from the middle of the track. You can see we've left a bit of a gap in between ourselves and Digit there on the right hand side, and now we're going to try and hold as close as we can to that curb and then get on the throttle as early as we can. And you can see obviously the camber to this corner helps us out with the defending as well. Because it's cambered, it gives us the ability to be quite aggressive on the throttle, and that means we can hold that inside line quite well. And it's actually worked out. This was quite a hard track to actually get an overtake done on if you had someone defending correctly. And you can see again, we're into this left hand corner, and again the Citroen is really strong on the exit. So again, I do not really need to worry about this next braking zone, but if we did have to worry, we'll show you what we'll do later on and a few laps later. So again, into this next braking zone, you can see we've got that inside line. As long as we hold it tight to the inside and then get on the throttle, there's not really much that the Supra can do at this stage, because the Supra starts to fade a little bit on the end of that straight, and the Citroen actually picks up a little bit on speed at the end of the straight. So the Citroen pretty strong in 6th and 7th gear, but a little bit weaker on acceleration. So it's just about trying to use the strength of this car. And again, into this left hand corner, Digit behind us there, going for a slightly different approach to that corner, trying to get on the throttle a little bit earlier, but again, not early enough to go for a move into this braking zone. So I don't need to go defensive here, because we know that we've got enough of a gap, and I trust the driver behind us that he's not just going to send an absolutely massive dive from 6 tenths back. So we know we can take our normal racing line from there, and we get a pretty decent exit that time onto the main straight. And again, just going to go to the left and then back over to the right, try and break that slipstream a little bit, but we don't really need to do that. We can just hold the normal racing line for a change now into turn one. We don't have to go defensive. So 7 laps have gone by and we've managed to hold on to this position with some good defensive driving, and we're not under threat from anyone else in the race really. P3 is just hanging on. So at the moment we can afford to do this and try and get the winners. You can see behind us there, the Supra just nearly runs wide, but just manages to hold on to the track. And now we go up into that third gear and accelerating into the next right hand corner. We've got a bit of a gap building here now. We've managed to push on a little bit and create a little bit of a gap, and that is one thing, like I say, the Citroen, in my personal opinion, was a better car for the end of the race than the Supra. And it was, I personally think it was a more enjoyable car to drive as well, as we go down into third, then back up to fourth gear for this left-hander. And again, we're going to go defensive. Even though there's a bit of a gap, we're not going to give any opportunity to go up the inside there. We're going to make it clear as day what our intentions are to the car behind, because then it makes it easier to race clean with that car. So again, hold the wall. We don't need to make any movements. Once his car is alongside us, we can then get into the middle of the track and start giving ourselves a bit of an entry into the next corner, so we can brake a little bit later. And again, all we're doing here is just trying to hold the apex, get on the throttle, and again, we've managed to hold off for another lap. And this is where you know you're going to have to get more defensive, because it's going to get a little bit more exciting as the laps remaining go down. So again, out of the exit there, now you can see the Digit a little bit closer here, so I stay to the middle of the track. Now he does go for a little look up the inside there, but because we stay to the middle of the track, he had to take a really tight line in, so we had to brake a little bit earlier, and then that means it's compromised on exit. So we're going to go now. You can see, because Digit's a little bit closer, we kind of think about going a bit defensive here, but then I realized there's a car right behind Digit. So you can see, I knew I could go back to the racing line because there was a car actually overtaken. And this is one massive advantage of having the mirror, because it gives you the ability to then see that's happening, take your normal line, give yourself the optimal line through the corner. You can see that then gives us the gap to build up, and that is one of the main reasons why I love the view I use with the mirror, because you give that advantage of being able to see what's going on behind you, and because of that we were able to give ourselves another bit of a gap. So again, On this straight, you can see Supra coming at us. We're going to go back over to the middle of the track, plenty of room on the right hand side, and just try and brake as late as we can while giving ourselves the ability to turn. Now this time we brake a little bit later and do leave a little bit of a gap up the inside. However, Digit tried to go for a little bit of a better exit speed. I think if he would have been a bit closer, he could have got alongside us there, but luckily for me, we got away with that one. So now into these next few corners, you can see good exit there, and that's actually gives us the ability to not really need to defend for this left hand corner now. So again, not needing to worry here, good exit speed, and again we can take the normal line into the braking zone for this left hand corner. So braking just where the moss is on the right hand side there, braking for there, turn downshift to first gear, then back up to second gear on the apex, and then rotate this car in third gear and just try and get a strong exit, which we managed to do there. And you can see now that the Citroen's tyre wear is in an advantageous position, we're getting much better exits from that corner, and we're not having to go defensive. And you can see again on the start of lap 9, we're not having to go defensive again here. So we managed to go a little bit better there without having to be aggressive on the defensive driving, and all we've got to do now is try and hold him off for 2 more laps in this race, which isn't going to be easy. We're going to try our best, which at the moment we're starting to pull away a little bit, which is great. So into the braking zone, down to third gear. Now this is a little bit of a mistake from myself. I tried to get too aggressive on the throttle, run a little bit wide, just about managed to keep it on track, and vitally did not get dirty tyres. So at this point all I've got to do is just hold that apex, get on the throttle like normal. But now we're back under attack from P2 because of one little mistake there. But like I say, luckily didn't get dirty tyres because we kept just enough of the car on the track. But we are possibly going to have to go a little bit defensive at the end of the straight again. So again, we're going to go all the way back over to that wall, keeping it as clear as day, no matter how far he is behind us. So we're not going to give the opportunity for that inside line. So once he's alongside us, we can brake, downshift to second, get that apex, and then back up into third gear and just make sure that we've got the lead through this section. Again, no real opportunity for overtaking into this section. It's a very difficult place to go up the inside of on this corner, so we should be safe there. And now just trying to get that exit from this corner, and you can see Digit is a little bit closer there, so you can see he has a little look there but thinks better of it and tries to go for a better exit this time. You can see he's much closer this time. So now I'm going to go defensive. You can see I've gone to the middle of the track, make sure that he can't really think. If he does think about going all the way to the left, he's probably going to compromise his entry into the corner. So gone to the middle of the track, he's gone back over to the right side to try and go for a better entry into the apex. We downshift it, hold the apex, and then again we've managed to hold off that position. And again, good exit with the Citroen with a slightly better tyre wear at this stage, all the way back over to the right hand side of the track for the racing line. And again, we shouldn't really need to worry about being overtaken into turn 1 because we've got enough of a gap to hold off. So we've just got one more lap left now to try and defend against a very fast driver pushing all the way behind us. So again, through the first sector, trying to keep it smooth, just trying to make sure we concentrate on them exit speeds, that we don't give any opportunity for a move to happen. So again, down to third gear, just be careful we don't do the mistake that I did before. This time a little bit more patient on the throttle, actually gave it a slight little lift, but that made sure we did the corner much better. And then down to second gear, back up to third gear before we get on the exit of the corner. And you can see behind us we got up a little bit of a gap there. So now down to third gear for this right hander. Can we get a good strong exit from the tunnel? So down to third, back up to fourth gear on the exit, putting that power down, and you can see we've got a reasonable exit now. But what that is going to give us is a bit of a dodgy slipstream range, because the car behind is going to pick up a slipstream. But I'm going to make sure that I'm going to stay to the left and give no opportunity really, because I've got enough of a gap to take a tight line through this corner and still hold on to the position. So again, you can see the car picking up that slipstream. We're going to go slightly over to the middle of the track now, and you can see there the car behind is going to try and go wide and then cut back with a faster exit speed from the corner. But again, we get into that third gear nicely and defend it pretty much spot on there. And now it's just a couple of corners to go to take a very well-earned win. I have to say, this was a sweaty race because we were constantly defending all the way from start to finish, and it wasn't the shortest race ever for a Gran Turismo Daily C. I think it was about 20 minutes long, so it was 20 minutes of pure defense pretty much. And again, you can see there the strength of the Citroen as we run a little bit wide there. So we don't need to go defensive though, because we still had enough of a gap, so just make sure we brake as late as possible here. And you can see we've managed to hold onto that position, just taking the tight line through there, and now just concentrating on that exit speed. And we're going to take a very well-earned win. And I have to say, brilliant driving by Digit as well. Kept it clean, didn't do anything rash. Some other drivers you'd probably come across would probably do something silly and just ram you out the way, but it was brilliant driving, so credit to Digit as well. And that was a brilliant battle. So yeah, if you enjoyed that race, thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section if any of the defensive tips have helped you out, and hopefully they have, and I'll be back with more of these videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.